questions. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
what's life all about?
Yes. I love the movie, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
The answer to the universe is 42.
No.
If you haven't watched the movie, it's too late. I'll give you the answer. And I think I love the movie, and I watch it now, I'm thinking, it's an old movie, but I was so looking forward to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy coming out as a movie and answering the question. And, the whole fun of what it was all about and how it went. Because people are asking questions all the time. We in Australia have asked a very powerful question about marriage. And we've had over 75% of the population, 3 out of 4 people have actually answered the question. And it comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
It's going to be a fairly interesting day, but we ask questions all the time. What I'm wanting to frame for us today is the power of questions and differentiate what's really going on in our world. So we touched on no question, no answer, no reframing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. We think any question is a good question, and that is not true.
I'm smiling because I'm reminded when I think it might have been Tony Robbins interviewed, was talking about Bill Gates, and he said, Bill Gates could have said, how do I design a piece of software for a computer? But he didn't. He said, how do I design software that'll run the computers? And it's a little bit like you say, there's a question, but then the skilled questionnaire can reframe to get a much deeper and more. So just looking at that, in a lot of questions, I know when you go to business owners, they're a bit lost.
Yes, they are.
They've gone into business, a bit lost.
Yes.
I know you start opening them up with, well, tell me who your customer is. How do you dig that out of someone it's everybody, John. They've got some money in their wallet. How do you start the questioning to dig that out of somebody?
Well, I did it today.
Yeah.
So I was with a potential new client, and I asked them about how do they know who their client is and where they get business from. And they told me they've got 2 key areas where they know they get their business from. And they also know demographically where business is coming from, but where business is not coming from, which means they know where to open their next office. Because there's no business coming from that.
Now that's a good question, isn't it? Where's business not coming from?
Absolutely. It's real. And so we had a very interesting discussion about that whole dynamic. So as far as my relationship into that context, it's not a metric question.
No.
So if I was asking a metric question, my second point is a poor question gives you poor answers. So if I want to get engaged as a business coach, and this organization has got their metrics sorted, and I'm asking, I can help you with your metrics, I'm asking a very poor question. And I will get a very poor response and help them in a very poor manner because they are well and truly engaged and got that dynamic working really well. And I love the fact when they've got clarity in that. But for me, it's a poor question.
Yeah.
So what we then talked about was, where are the gaps or the challenges that you're facing? So a poor question for me was, can I help you with your metrics? Not really.
We've got all
what you can do. But, where are you at with your... And so the area for them was, they are trying to employ a new staff member, and they're doing it out of a sense of gut feel.
Intuitiveness. I kind of know this person will be pretty good. I think.
That's right. They hope it's intuitive, but really it feels goodish, I think.
Yeah.
And they've had 85 people apply, and it's just overwhelmed them. Now, for me to ask a question, I think I could help you. Have a look at this to see whether this could help you. And so, there is attentiveness, there is alertness.
Yes.
Because I've gone from a poor question, which I want to talk to you about the dynamic of the next step, but I've moved away from poor questions, because poor questions give you as a business owner, business operator, poor answers. And so if you no question, no answer, no reframing, poor question, poor answer, poor reframing, and you think you're doing okay because you're asking a question. That's a great place to start, that at least you're actually asking a question to challenge perceptions, beliefs, dynamics, the status quo.
Yeah.
But if it's a poor question, you'll get poor results with poor reframing, and that you won't really get to where you actually want to get because it's not strong enough in its whole dynamic as a question for you in your business.
When you say that, if you don't ask the right question, you don't get to where you want to get.
That's right.
So is that why you start with where is it you want to get to? What do you want this business to look like? I mean, you've done it from everyone from a fish and chip shop,
correct.
Absolutely booming. You've done it with another unusual business, which is antennas on caravans.
Oh yes, absolutely, yeah.
You know, and people would go, really? But that's a booming business.
Booming business. Booming! Seriously, booming.
Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
You work with teachers, you work with all these people. Is your starting point so you can get a framework of what to ask? Because I've noticed then you pick up very quickly. I won't ask that because that's a poor question for you. Might be good for somebody else.
Yeah.
Is this why you start? Is this what needs to be in your head? Okay, so I see a picture where you're going.
Yeah, great. What I'm doing with questions is questions get people telling their story.
Yeah.
And so when they start to tell their story, they start to reveal insights that I can pick up on. So I spent probably 45 minutes this morning with a potential client, and then he asked me this question, John, how would you help me? Then he told me his story. I didn't answer the question, I just sat there. Yeah. He then said, I sometimes are struggling because what I'm doing is I'm fighting fires. I know immediately how I can help him. I said, you know, there is a way in which I could offer a service. So maybe my priority log challenge for you could be the great starting point to get you into the place where you actually want to grow and engage. And he said, oh, that would be wonderful. So sometimes what we do is, as people, is we pose the question, but we actually have the answer within us. And so remember, a poor question, poor answer, poor reframing. But please ask the questions, because questions actually get you talking. And it's not about necessarily the answers that come out of that, but it's where it will develop into, and at least you move your way from the fact that you're not asking a question.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not asking a question, you're
not going anywhere.
No, but you're asking a question, even if it's a poor question, is moving you up the scale of allowing the dynamics of insight, clarity, innovation, creativity to actually come into your world, and you're beginning to challenge the precepts, concepts, and status quos that you've got around you, and saying, I know that there is something wrong. And I've illustrated this with my red flag principle, that sometimes people get something on the inside, but they're not quite sure what it is.
Yeah.
So I say, it's the red flag, trust it. So we're going to come back in just a little minute and continue on in this whole dynamic of what questions can do for us and how they can really help us take those next steps.